Welcome to the Somatic Coaching Academy podcast. I'm Ani Anderson.
And I'm Brian Trzaskos. Join us as we explore the science
and art of trauma-sensitive somatic practices and tools.
Strengthen your practice as a coach, therapist, or holistic professional.
Master the art of motivating even the most challenging clients when you understand how to tap into and unlock your client's complete holistic intelligence.
If you want to learn the most cutting-edge, research-supported skills for personal and professional mastery, you've come to the right place. Let's get this conversation started. Hi, and welcome to the Somatic Coaching Academy podcast for episode 112. Ani, how are you today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great, feeling good.
Good, me too.
Yeah, you ready to do this?
Yeah, I am ready.
So you're ready. Okay, so today we are talking about what to do when people rub you the wrong way.
Brian, why doesn't anybody say that they rubbed me the right way?
Well, maybe they do.
I have never heard anybody say that.
Well, maybe you can coin that.
I don't know that I want to. Thank you.
Maybe that's why no one says it. Maybe no one wants to own that.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
Maybe so. But I think everybody knows what it's like to be rubbed the wrong way.
Exactly. You
used to rub me the wrong way all the time.
Yeah, you too, me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good.
But one of my favorite Rumi quotes or poems, a short poem, is that it goes something like this. It goes, if you're bothered by every rub, how will you ever become polished?
It's a really good quote.
It's a great quote. I come back to that one a lot whenever I feel irritated by someone. I think I'm just being rubbed. And
just being polished?
I'm being polished though, because think about sanding, rubbing, polishing. It all creates friction. There's all friction there.
And as you're talking about it, it kind of makes me feel a little irritated, right? Like being rubbed or being polished. I mean, still has some kind of, like you said, friction. Like it feels like something to me when we talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what that quote kind of alludes to is that there is a deeper way to look at the experience of being in relationship with someone who creates friction for you. Or you could say agitation, irritation, rubbing, whatever it is. But really it's an experience that there's some type of friction that goes on.
I'm just kind of curious as you're talking about that, what our expectation is anyway. Is it that all of our relationships should kind of feel good? Where did we get that idea from? Oh, wait, I know where we got that idea from. A society that has been feeding us, more and more and more convenience.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
Technological convenience.
Yeah. And the algorithms on social media are just feeding you things that you agree with.
Absolutely.
Right?
Well, most of the time. Yeah. So anytime we get rubbed by something kind of in the physical world, we find a solution.
Yeah. So again, what that quote kind of leads us to is there's kind of two layers here. And so one layer you just kind of mentioned is that when someone rubs you the wrong way, one way that we approach that is trying to understand, fix, or work around the other person. Right? So I think that's what you're kind of talking about, finding a solution
Let's fix
to
it.
deal with the other person.
Yeah, let's fix it.
So I'm trying to fix the other. We need to have a conversation so I can fix you.
You need to be fixed. I need to be fixed. The situation needs to be fixed. There must be a solution.
Right. But
to go, I like how you said, to go around.
Right. So there's all kinds of different ways to engage with it. But essentially what we're doing on that first level, or the one way when someone rubs you the wrong way, is it has something to do with dealing with the other person. I'm going to try to understand them more, which could be a good thing to do. Sure. Or I'm going to try to fix them or control them, which may not be as helpful, but that's something people do. Or I'll try to work around them, avoid them. Right? That's something that people do too. But it always has something to do with understanding, fixing, controlling something, the other person.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about all the times in my life and, for clients and students and stuff, it takes a lot of energy.
Yeah. And we're not saying that it's unimportant to consider how you relate to that person. And certainly if the person is abusive or really overtly toxic, I mean, to remove yourself from their vicinity is really important. So let's just
Absolutely.
say that. But
Absolutely.
also, sometimes they just rub you the wrong way.
Right.
And they're not being abusive or toxic or damaging or anything like that. They just rub you the wrong way.
Right.
And yet you may be in situations where you're going to be close to them at work or in groups that you're a part of, masterminds,
Communities,
communities, something like that,
family units.
family units. And then what do you do?
Yeah.
Right. Then we go to this kind of this next level, which this kind of poem or quote kind of says, like if you want to become polished, you've got to be rubbed a little bit. Okay. And so the second level, actually, let's talk about this a little bit more, Ani. You've mentioned that we do talk about this a lot with our clients. That people do feel like they're getting rubbed the wrong way by other people in their life,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And that
All
this
the
does
time.
happen in certain communities,
Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah.
you know. And so you've even talked about how this shows up in community.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm just thinking like certainly any kind of community. I mean, think about it, whether it's the neighborhood knitting circle or church or your family,
Mhm.
one of the ways actually, Brian, this shows up quite a bit is with women.
Mm.
Women have women have been conditioned to like not like each other and pick at each other.
Mm.
It's part of how we've been conditioned to act with each other. So it very often shows up between women on women,
Mm. Okay.
women with women.
Yeah. So that's just
It's a very insidious way that like the patriarchal conditioning has
right.
weaved its way into our world that we don't often recognize.
So it kind of adds some fuel to that feeling like you're being challenged, threatened, rubbed the wrong way,
Oh yeah.
like from one woman to another by
Yeah.
by another woman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In communities and groups and organizations and those types of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it should be like a little.
It's very common.
So could it be then like a flag, like to say, oh, there's actually something else going on here? Like the flag I think you're pointing out is that, oh, this is actually a part of societal conditioning,
100%.
is why I feel agitated or
100%.
aggravated by
Yep.
another
Another
woman.
woman. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Yeah.
let's just call that out for a second there.
Yeah. I mean, it happens in community groups. It definitely happens in collegial relationships as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So the segue here is there's a deeper way to kind of look at this, and this is what Rumi's kind of pointing to. So the deeper way is to look at when you feel rubbed the wrong way by somebody, that it's an opportunity to learn something more about yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because when you learn more about yourself, that's how you really become polished. If we're talking about being polished as being kind of like raising our vibrational frequency, becoming more accepting, more empathetic. You might be thinking, I'm plenty accepting. I don't want to accept any more. I'm like, I have plenty of empathy. I don't want my empathy anymore. It's part of this is like, yes, accepting, empathetic, but it's also an element of being detached from other people's experience too, and being able to hold space for it. Right. So all
Yeah.
that stuff kind of goes into being polished.
Yeah, and it's, there's this kind of like, I don't want to have to accept anymore kind of thing that is, I think, important because it's important for us to honor and recognize whatever emotions are coming up for us, and they're there for a reason. And following them also isn't necessarily the solution. So just if you're like, I don't accept anymore, I've been compassionate enough and I am angry. Okay, so the anger isn't necessarily the higher vibrational frequency to come from, but it's definitely something to work with to
Yes.
repattern ourselves so we are coming from a place of higher level of consciousness, a higher vibrational frequency.
Yeah, and you could look at that anger again as a clue that there's something to learn more about yourself.
Right, because that's who we can actually make an impact with, of course, is ourselves. It's what we have control over, it's what we can do something about. But more than that, each of us is looking through our own perceptual lenses. So if you want to think about it like wearing a pair of sunglasses, everybody's looking through their own sunglasses. And if my sunglasses are blue and yours are orange, we're both looking at the sky, but we're seeing different colors,
Right.
you know? And so actually changing the perceptual lens is where it's at.
Yeah.
And that's work that we do within ourselves.
Yeah. So I love that you brought up the analogy of the glasses and the lens, Ani, because a way that we love to work with people in a really practical way on this exact topic is through what we call the law of reflection. So the law of reflection is one of the natural laws. And what the law of reflection states is that, well, first of all, the kind of the general parameter of the universe is always bringing us, always guiding us towards wholeness,
Mhm.
right? It's always kind of urging us to get back to wholeness
And more life.
and more life. So what the law of reflection basically tells us is that the qualities that we see in other people that we don't like, and we do like, actually, that we either feel infatuated by or repulsed by, are actually qualities within ourselves that we've repressed.
Mhm. Yeah, and
Ooh.
it accounts for this idea that multiple people can be a part of, relationship with a person and perceive that person in vastly different ways.
Hmm.
No person is like this or that.
Yeah.
We are each everything, and we perceive other people based on our own stuff.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. The author, Anise Nin, said, and I love this quote. It's again so spot on for what we're talking about, is that we don't see other people as they are, we see them as we are.
Yep.
So just kind of like just let that soak in for a second. We don't see other people as they are, we see them as we are. And as Ani's pointing out, it's because we're all conditioned with beliefs. And we've talked about this a lot on other podcasts too, but let's just talk about it a little bit in terms of this law of reflection. So we're all conditioned with beliefs when we're young, right? And here's the thing though, as we grow older, we may actually come to despise the beliefs that we learned when we were young.
Hmm.
So think about when you're a teenager. Maybe you can remember when you were a teenager. Maybe you actually have teenagers, or maybe you had a teenager, especially right around middle school. Especially right around middle school,
Yeah, that's a
right?
tough age.
When they all of a sudden are like, you think that your parents are the dumbest,
I
um,
don't get it.
don't get it. They are all screwed up. They don't know what's right and wrong. They don't understand
And
values.
they are definitely rubbing me the
They're rubbing
wrong
me the
way.
wrong way. And so here's the thing. So when you're young though, right, you are literally soaking up beliefs from your parents and your caregivers and your family, your society, all those people. Let's just keep it to parents and caregivers right now for a second, just to make this example work. Okay. So you have your parents and your caregivers. And so you soak up beliefs. And let's say you soak up a belief, something to the effect of, uh, you know, money is really important. Let's just take it to money for a second. And then at a teenager, you get to think like, freaking, my parents, all they talk about is money, 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 money. How things are so expensive. They can't afford that, or I can't afford that. And I hate money. I think money is just the worst thing in the world. So now, as a teenager, you are now despising the exact belief that you were raised with. Okay. So the problem is that that belief you were raised with is already woven into your physiology. It's already baked into your bioenergetic system because you lived with it for, between the ages 0 and 7 and now till the time you're 13, 14 as a teenager, something like that sort of thing. So what happens is basically now you have both the belief that you don't like baked inside of you, right? You're already thing you don't like. It's already inside of you and you don't like it,
You're
but you don't like it about yourself.
rubbing yourself the
You're
wrong
rubbing
way.
yourself the wrong way. So what happens though is that then
You see it
you
outside of yourself.
you repress it deeper, actually. Right. So the more you don't like it, you repress that quality in yourself like more and more and more and more and more. But it's already in there.
Uh-huh.
You don't like it, so you repress it. And the more you repress it down, the more you see it in other people.
Hmm.
Because the universe is always trying to get you back to a sense of wholeness.
Right. So when you say wholeness, it's interesting because we might think that we perceive everything, but we so don't. We perceive parts, we perceive sections. And it's one of the gifts actually of other people in our lives to
Mhm.
be able to see aspects that we can't see.
Yeah. And so that's called the shadow aspect, basically. So
Right, because it's so far
it's
repressed within
so
us,
far repressed,
we
it
can't
goes into a
see it as a
shadow.
part of ourselves.
Right,
That
exactly.
that's a kind of a classic thing when I work with clients, and we'll do this law of reflection, and I'll say, "Well, that must be a part of you, this thing that you see that you don't like," and they're like, "I don't see it.
Yeah. And so
I don't see it."
here's an interesting thing though, is just because you can't see it in yourself doesn't mean other people don't see it in you.
100%.
And
Yep.
how painful is it when someone else points out to you
Yeah.
that you're behaving or being like someone that you despise,
Yeah. That hurts.
right? Has that ever happened?
Uh, oh
Yeah,
yeah.
right? I mean, so that's
Oh
happened to me. It's like
yeah.
someone points it out to you, like, ow.
And then yeah, no.
So just because you can't see it in yourself doesn't mean other people don't see it in
Yep.
you.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
Because again, they're also living with the law of reflection. So once you get to this point, if you really want to do this work, like if you say, hey, I'm on, because this isn't easy work to do. I mean, this is really, you really have to look at yourself in a
Non-judgmental.
non-judgmental, compassionate,
Yeah.
caring, loving,
Not taking yourself
accepting,
too
kind
personally.
of pioneering type of way though, too. I mean, a lot of this work, you really have to be a pioneer of your own experience to kind of get through there.
Yeah.
So the science behind all this stuff is really, really fascinating. And we actually go pretty deep into this science in our Somatic Coach Complete program
Right. The level 3
and
program.
also in Living with the Laws.
Hmm.
Because this is one of the
Right.
laws we actually talk about in Living with the Laws, and we integrate, we practice with.
Right.
We actually walk our
Yeah.
participants and students through it.
Mindset for manifestation
Yeah,
program.
mindset
Yeah.
for manifestation, the Living with the Laws program. So, but let's just say about it right now is that the universe again is always urging you towards becoming whole, right? It's always doing that, and in its infinite humor,
Yeah.
because the universe is like infinitely humorous. It brings you into relationship with people who remind you of the unloved parts of yourself.
Yay. Yeah.
That's basically how the universe works.
Yeah.
And so the people who are bringing you in to reflect that back to you they feel like they're rubbing you the wrong way.
Mhm.
So you can either look at people who rub you the wrong way as being annoying, irritating, bad, wrong, problem, whatever.
And
And
try
then
to get
and then
rid of
try to
them.
get rid of that, try to fix it, understand it. That's
Yeah.
again, that's on that first level, and sometimes that works for immediate. I'm not going to say immediate relief because it doesn't. Sometimes it works in instances and those sorts of things.
Well, it works if you remove yourself from the situation and you change your pattern, because
Right.
then you won't attract it back. But if you're not attracting it, I'm sorry, if you're not changing your pattern, you'll just attract it back. And then you've got somebody else in your life who, God dang it, it's the same freaking annoying thing as the other person.
Yeah, exactly. Or they'll just show up
Just
again.
different person,
Different person. Because
different clothes.
so the first step to all of this is knowing why people rub you the wrong way. It's not because the person is specifically has nothing to do with the person specifically, actually, to Ani's point, because you might move just from one person to the next person, the next person, the next person. They keep reflecting back to you parts of yourself in your shadow aspect that you have not come to love and accept yet
We have
about yourself.
we have a friend who calls it the um, different guy, same pants.
Yeah.
I love that. From a dating perspective, you just keep attracting, it's a different guy, but it's the same pants.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing again and again and
Again and
again and
again.
again and
What the
again,
heck?
kind of thing.
Hmm.
So you have to know why. So if you want to do the deeper work, then now you know why people rub you the wrong way.
So you said something really important here that I want to highlight. So when you're asking yourself, why does this person rub me the wrong way? Usually people try to answer that question from coming up with why that specific person rubs them the wrong
Right. Mm-hmm.
way. What Brian's saying is cue in with the greater purpose of why people rub you the wrong way.
You're right.
Because if you're trying to answer that specific question from a standpoint of what is it about this specific
Correct.
person, you're just going to be chasing your tail.
Right. Yeah. So you have to ask yourself what qualities that I see this person expressing rub me the wrong way,
Right.
because those are the qualities in yourself that are in your shadow aspect.
Right.
Okay.
But first knowing that it's an aspect of you.
Yeah. So that's the first step. You have to know the deeper reason why. Now, the next steps, you have to have a process. to be able to work the next steps through. And of course, here at the Somatic Coaching Academy, we
We
have a
love our practices.
four-step process. We have a four-step process: become aware of, decode, modify, and reframe those shadow patterns. This is a pattern,
Hmm.
right? It's
Never,
just
never met a process I didn't love.
never, yeah, it's just a pattern within you. So you have to have a process to reorganize the pattern somatically. And because it's in a shadow aspect in your subconscious, it lives in your body.
Right, which is why the sensation-based work and the sensation-based work that we teach here, the somatic-based sensation-based work, works with this stuff so powerfully. Because if you're trying to figure it out from an intellectual standpoint, it just keeps being this ninja that keeps
Hmm.
hiding on you. It's this shadow that you can't, it's like you can't grasp a shadow. So once you can tap in with the sensation-based stuff, then it's you can do
Yeah.
something with it.
Yeah. And once you liberate it from your system, then it's gone. And then those qualities and traits don't rub you the wrong way
They just
anymore.
don't rub you.
They don't rub you.
They just don't bother you anymore. And it's funny because you don't even recognize it until somebody might bring it up to you later, like, hey, that used to really bug you. And now it's like, oh, huh, did it?
Yeah. So you have more ease, right? Have more flow. And the people, I think Ani already said before, people who had those traits or qualities before rubbing back to him, either you do not see those traits and qualities anymore in people because they're not rubbing you the wrong
Just doesn't
way,
bother you anymore.
or they gravitate out of your life.
Yep.
And so there's
You're
just
like,
so
wow.
much ease, so much more ease and space and flow in
And
your life.
joy.
Yeah. So if you want more ease and space and joy and flow in your life, like, reach out to us. Like our email's right there, info@somaticcoachingacademy.com. We can tell you all about the programs that we do that help people do these exact things, right? Especially Coach Complete and the Mindset for Manifestation program. That's the work we do in those programs.
Yeah, in the level three program, actually, it's one of the rare bits of that program where this aspect is actually taught for the practitioner.
Mm.
This we don't teach people to go do this with other people. Why? Because what happens is somebody's rubbing you and you think, I'm going to teach you how to fix that in you. Ha ha.
Aha.
It's not the point.
Yeah. So one more quote. I have one more quote
Okay, you go
that
for it.
I
This one.
love this quote too from Wayne Dyer,
Uh-huh.
from Uncle Wayne,
Uh,
right? Does anybody know who Wayne? Yeah, I
wait.
call him Uncle Wayne, right? Uncle Wayne Dyer.
Sure, you
So yeah,
appreciate that.
so he used this quote. When I first heard this, I was like, oh, it was like a knife in my heart. He says, when we judge other people, it doesn't say anything about the other person. It
Oh,
only says that we're the type of person who needs to judge.
yeah. Ooh.
Ooh.
Ooh. I remember reading that
When I, when
a
I
while
when
ago.
I read that quote for the first time, probably 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, I realized I needed to do something different
Mm.
because I was very judgmental of other people.
Mhm.
And and I
Yep.
realized, oh, it's not about them. It's not about the other people, it's about me. And I have a need to judge. Oh, why do I have a need to judge?
Boy, I'm glad you got over that before you met me.
Yeah, and it put me, I'm sure you are. I am too. But it really put me on a path of realizing how I was projecting my perceptions out onto everybody else in the world and all the situations I was in the world and those sorts of things. And it created so much tension and constriction in my physiology. I mean, I've told all
Yeah.
those stories before, and in my psyche, and just not being a happy person, just not being free, not feeling free to express my purpose for being here on the planet, not feeling free to express or emote or really share my opinions or my ideas or any of those sorts of things because I was just always so constantly bound up internally.
Yeah.
And I needed just to learn to let let life flow through me. And part of that was this realization that I was the type of person who needed to judge other people.
Right.
And the judgments I had about other people was not about them, it was about me. And so that was one of the most painful, but liberating early experiences I had in this work.
I remember reading that also, and it was probably about 10 years ago. And for me, I read it and it hurt, and I couldn't argue with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of stuff you read that you can, yeah, but this or that. I couldn't argue with it, and I had to sit with it and sit with like what that felt like for myself, and that was rough. I remember exactly where I was first time I read that
Yeah.
quote.
So we're leaving you with a quote that this quote to reflect back to you
Well,
about this
can I
idea.
say one more thing?
Sure.
The natural laws, which, you've heard us talk about before and we teach here, they don't judge.
Mhm.
And so I take solace, I guess, in the idea that I can be like the natural laws,
Yeah.
and you can too, and get to a place where you actually come from a place where you're not so judgmental anymore. So you can be like the natural laws too.
Yeah. And that happens when you naturally dissolve these shadow aspects in yourself.
Yeah.
Like, then it happens naturally. You don't have to try
You don't
anymore,
have to try.
actually.
Yeah, embodying the natural
Yeah.
laws is the salve for that wound.
Yep. So check out what we're doing with on the website. Check out the Natural Laws programs. Give us a call.
You can always ask
We'd
questions.
love to chat about it with you.
Yep. Send us an email, info@somaticcoachingacademy.com. And hey, have a great rest of your week. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to this episode. We hope that this conversation will help you improve your practice and change the way you think about your work, your clients, and yourself.
Continue your exploration of trauma-sensitive somatic coaching by listening to more podcast episodes at somaticcoachingacademy.com. You could be the trusted guide that people turn to help them with their most challenging situations and to reach their most precious goals. Thank you for joining us.
We'll see you next time.